get it started. No, I'm just kidding. I won't sing. All right. So, Sunday, January 15th. All right. Good morning, baseball fans. It is Sunday, January 15th, season 2, episode 4, I think, maybe, I don't know, of Bourbon and Baseball. I am your host, Suzy Fulton, and over there, if you are on YouTube watching, that is not Shelby, unless Shelby changed drastically overnight. That's not Shelby. That is HTown Wheelhouse. You guys might recognize him from the Locked On Astros podcast. Shelby could not be here today, so Brett filled in for us, and I say us like I got a mouse in my pocket. I don't. Brett filled in for Shelby today, and we are thrilled to have you. Again, this royal we. That's what we're going to go with. Anyhow, how are you today, Brett?
I'm doing great. It's Sunday. We've got a long weekend. Monday is Martin Luther King Day, where we honor a great civil rights hero and someone who had a lot of, a positive change in this country. And, with baseball right around the corner, I mean, look, the sky's the limit. 2023 is a new year, and we just came off a great season of Locked On Astros, and we look forward to doing so many more things, especially this coming weekend. We'll be at FanFest, and I know you'll be there
I will be at FanFest.
doing some photography stuff, I assume. We'll be getting some fan interviews and just taking pictures of. We'll do a Locked On FanFest 2023. First time we've ever done this. So our producer, Mark, who we just brought on, is going to be doing some filming, and we'll just go from there. So, just life's busy, life's fast and furious, and so I do appreciate you having me on.
That's very cool. That's goals for 2024 FanFest. I am going as a helper of one of my photography friends. They are doing. I've actually never been to a FanFest, so I don't really know how it works or what's going on. But apparently, there's baseball cards that are being made on site, being printed and whatnot. So I'm helping their company do those, I guess. I'm not sure.
So wait, you mean like the professional athletes' baseball cards?
No. Although I do know some of those too. But no, I guess it's the fans that come in, I guess, can get a picture taken and be placed on a baseball card. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
It's kind of like those old, good old league pictures where like you put like your favorite food and who's your favorite right-handed hitter or something. Yeah. Right. I remember those days, but that's cool. That's cool.
So I will be there helping with that. So hopefully I'll get to see some of our listeners there. But then, goals for 2024 FanFest is, maybe the actual show, being there to, do interviews and fun things like that, Brett. So, Brett, are you drinking today?
You know what? I'm not. I actually had I had a really large cup of coffee this morning. It was this new French press that my wife bought. And fun. Instead of going through the Keurig or Nespresso, it's this little, I think this little doodad thing is from France. I don't know. Like I really sound hickish right now, but, she put the coffee in at the hot water. She puts it over the burner, and it like heats the coffee up, and it basically brews the coffee in this little thing. Then she froths the milk in a whole nother like flask, almost like a Walter White looking thing. Oh, and then we put it together, and it's actually better than Starbucks. So
very cool.
So I'm as the kids would say, I'm pretty lit right now with caffeine. So.
Okay, well, I had some caffeine and I had my Adderall, so we're hoping that, we can kind of keep on track, but I'm going to derail all of that because, the show's called Bourbon and Baseball, so we like to drink over here. So I have some Squirrel peanut butter whiskey.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. Actual bourbon drinkers, whiskey drinkers, don't come for me. I realize that this is not an actual thing that real people will drink, right? But apparently, if you're on YouTube, you can go see the bottle. If you mix peanut butter whiskey with cranberry juice, supposedly it tastes like a peanut butter and jelly. Supposedly.
Are you okay? So you're about to find out live on air?
We're about to find out. That's part of the show. That's part of the fun of the show.
While you're pouring, we had a sponsor one time, Belching Beaver with Locked On, and they have a peanut butter stout. Now,
Is that a beer?
It's a beer. I'm not a big like beer connoisseur, like IPAs. I can't stand. I mean, just a whole bunch of any issues. Anyways, I tried this peanut butter stout and it just was not good. But a friend of mine who works for the company was like, "Oh, it's my favorite drink." And so I was like so excited that I was going to drink liquefied peanut butter. I'm not going to tell you what it tasted like to me, but it definitely did not taste. It was stout, but it didn't taste like peanut butter.
We're gonna taste this. We're gonna see. So while I
like your fancy straw. Is it?
It's not horrible. Hold on. It's giving peanut butter and jelly vibes. That is.
Now, is this like Welch's and Jif peanut butter jelly vibes, or is this like Great Value peanut butter and jelly vibes?
Oh, okay. So are we talking like high end versus low end? With? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with high end.
Oh.
It's not horrible. It's not delightful. It's not the best thing that I've ever drank in my entire life, but it's passable. Oh, all right then. Well, I will. So I had a Bloody Mary like chilling on the wings, just in case this drink was horrific and non drinkable. But
see, I came completely unprepared. I didn't even read the room. I didn't even think about the title Bourbon and Baseball. So you'll have to forgive my novice ways.
That's disappointing, Brett.
I know. Well, hopefully I make the cut for another guest appearance, and I'll shake it up a little bit. I mean,
I guess we'll keep you. I mean, it's whatever, So, but we like to cut up. We like to have fun over here. Not saying that other pods don't, but it's not as structured as some pods, and we like that because both Shelby and I have ADHD, and we like to be squirrels. So, but on today's episode, we will chat about the other free agent signings, where some big names have gone, the biggest being Carlos Correa. That's a whole other thing in and of itself. And then we will chat about our Astros, arbitration numbers, some fun, who got married, who got engaged, and then we will end on kind of an interview portion. Brett, I'm super excited to get to know you a little bit better. So we'll jump right into it, and we will start with probably the most well-known free agent signing, Carlos Correa. Now, at the beginning of this, had you told me that Carlos Correa was going to get less years and less money than Trey Turner and Xander Bogaerts, I would have called you a dirty, filthy, not nice name liar. Like, it's just the fact that Carlos Correa was bounced around to 3 different teams and ended with back at the Minnesota Twins is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it does.
Go for it.
It really puts into perspective why the Astros were not willing to offer him 10 years. Outside of, it's not how they build their team. It's not what they do. It's not what Jim Crane does, and this is his team. But the medicals, and this is what's most surprising to me, is why did it get to the point it got to in San Francisco with having Pete Patilla over there, who knows Carlos Correa, who knows the medicals, who was in player development from 2016 to 2019. And to me, if you're having to consult multiple doctors, there's got to be some serious concern. And you're right. Going back to Minnesota was the last place. I thought that the Orioles would scoop him up because to me, Carlos Correa would make perfect sense in Baltimore. He's a veteran. He kind of takes that place that Machado was for them before he left, right? And they've got Adley Rutschman. They've got Gunnar Henderson, who's probably the favorite right now in the preseason Rookie of the Year candidacy. But the fact that he went back to Minnesota tells me that Boris behind the scenes probably had these emergency deals worked out. Obviously, he had something worked out with the Mets because he figured it might fall through. But the Astros, now we're looking like geniuses because now we got Jeremy Pena. And look, Carlos Correa is a great shortstop, one of the best shortstops of this division, or of this generation. But when I said Francisco Lindor, if he signs the long-term deal before Carlos Correa does, it's going to basically be bad for him. And not just that, but now people had time to dive into it. Xander Bogaerts gets signed, Trey Turner. But I think Trey Turner is one of the most underappreciated. I think that kid is probably pound for pound one of the most talented, if not the most talented shortstop in all of baseball. And he doesn't get that kind of credit. So
yeah, no, I will watch Trey Turner do slides and home base for days. Like if I just want to just be mesmerized, I will just watch that gif of Trey Turner sliding. And I don't understand like how that happens.
Well, no, but see, I feel like he's like that on the field too. He's so smooth. His transition from glove to hand is like second to none. His range, his arm, and I mean his bat. Like I say, he's in a group and a class of shortstops that has a ton of talent.
Right.
But what was odd to me was you had heard speculation about the Mets saying, okay, Carlos is going to move to third. And then it falls through. You're like, what? And it was the advisors. It was the club guys, the, I guess, upper echelon that Steve Cohen has that says, hey, you might not want to do this. This is kind of a stirring up a hornet's nest. Because you notice the last 4 or 5 years of Carlos's contract are non-guaranteed with Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my question is the ankle now made of glass? What's going on with the ankle here? So, I mean, the fact that the Giants ankle specialist said, nope, no, we're not doing this. But then the Mets used the same ankle specialist as the Giants. So obviously he's not going to go over to the Mets and be like, oh yeah, no, y'all perfect. Good for you. No, obviously That's not going to happen. Right. Which seems a little strange to me. Is there only one ankle specialist? Is it the best, most well-renowned ankle specialist in the entire world? Like what happened here? Like I figured that the Mets were going to have their own team and their own people to do their own evaluation and make their own judgments. But if they're using the same doctor as the Giants, then that, I don't want to say it's collusion, but it doesn't give a great look, right?
Yeah, and I don't really know enough about how, like, what people that these clubs confer with. I don't know if there are 3 or 4 ankle specialists. Maybe the guy's last name is Ankleton or something, like Dr. Ankleton. He is the guy, and then
right.
And then they have Shoulder McGee who checks on shoulders. I mean, I don't know if there's league guys, if there's renowned guys, but I know with the Astros, they have their own medical staff. But outside of the ankle, it was still the length of the deal.
Yeah.
And ultimately, is this also a little bit of Carlos Correa's ego as well? Because everybody said, well, Boris this, Boris that. But what people don't realize or remember is that Scott Boras works for Carlos Correa, not the other way around. So every demand they had was from Carlos Correa, not Scott Boras.
Right. Yeah, I have no idea. It's got to be a whole humble pie, not even like a slice of humble pie. It's got to be the whole damned thing with some extra whipped cream on there. Because for Correa to do these massive, 1-year opt-out deals, to sign this 6-year, $200 million, like, just blows my mind. So, I guess Correa, and I need to talk to Twins fans. Do you feel jilted? Do they feel like they're second-rate citizens? Like he went and tried out the other teams and then was like, oh, just kidding. Guess we're gonna have to settle for the Twins. Like, I need to know. I need to feel the temperature of the. Yeah,
I think Twins fans, from what I could see online, they were excited, but it definitely isn't basically the only thing Carlos Correa can do from this point on is to stay healthy.
Right.
And he's going to have to avoid, I promise you're not going to see him stealing any bases.
No, but we didn't see him stealing bases to begin with, though.
No, but I'm
that's
saying,
not part of his game.
he may not be legging a double out to a triple.
Yeah.
I just, if he can stay healthy and he can stay away from injury, then that is the only thing that I think is going to squash the criticism. Because what is a big criticism with Byron Buxton? Byron Buxton is pound for pound one of the best. I don't know why I keep saying pound for pound like one of those boxing kick. But Byron Buxton, when he's healthy, is one of the most talented outfielders in all of baseball.
Yep.
And when you look at his injuries, he's not necessarily injury prone. He's just had some bad luck injuries. He's not like, it's not like soft tissue damage and, he's injury prone. He's going to have injuries every year. He just happens to get in some bad situations, and they just kind of piled up on him over his career. But if Buxton can stay healthy, Correa can stay healthy. They got Royce Lewis, who's a stud up and coming guy. They've got pitchers. They've got a team. They can be competitive in that American League Central. I think it's wide open.
Yes and no. You're saying there's a chance, a very, very tiny one. I still think the Guardians. Take that.
Oh yeah.
AL
yeah.
Central.
I think the Guardians are up there, but I'm just saying I think that's Central because the White Sox. What are they going to be? I mean, there's not a whole lot of competition outside of
Sox.
Cleveland, so it may be a Cleveland Minnesota fight. Dog.
Yeah, I think it may be. It's a whole thing. But that's an issue for another episode. So we'll move on to the other free agent signings here. So, but also we are going to mention Liam Hendriks. We mentioned the White Sox. Liam Hendriks was diagnosed with non-Hodgkins lymphoma. So, prayers go out to Liam Hendriks. And I know that White Sox family is going to rally around him, and hopefully he can take that attitude that he had on the mound and, give it everything he's got to beat that cancer, because that is some nasty shit over there. So
yeah, that is tough, and I've recently had I've got two friends, one who has a 14-year-old who just got diagnosed with leukemia, and another one who has a 6th grader, both diagnosed with leukemia just out of the blue randomly. And so anytime you're dealing with non-Hodgkins lymphoma, leukemia, any kind of cancer, especially when the person is healthy, when the person is in the prime of their career or they're young. I mean, cancer is nasty no matter when a diagnosis comes down, and it's serious in every case, but you hate to see it because Liam Hendriks, as much as I've not liked him being a competitor of the Astros, I respect his fire and his tenacity. And if that is any reflection of his character, which I know it is, then he's going to fight this, and he's going to come out smelling like roses. And it'll be a great comeback story, and it'll be an inspiration to other people, because, there are a lot of people out there, Suzy, that deal with this stuff that are like you and me. They're just average people. We're not world-class athletes making millions of dollars. But when someone like a Trey Mancini, Liam Hendriks, these guys can go through this and come out on the other side, it inspires people, and it gives people the opportunity to say, you know what, maybe I can do it. They're just like me. And so sometimes blessings come out of the weirdest, most dark places. And I would definitely wish him all the best. I know the White Sox will do a phenomenal job supporting him through the process. Yep,
for sure. So again, our prayers and thoughts out to Liam Hendriks and the entire White Sox family. But, sticking in the AL, Trevor Story going and having modified Tommy John surgery. I don't even understand this for Trevor Story and the Boston Red Sox, and I don't even understand what's going on in the Red Sox organization right now. So for those that recap, those that don't know, they did re-sign their third baseman, Rafi Devers, to a long-term extension, which the Red Sox fans were clamoring for after they let their longtime shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, sign with Padres. Trevor Story going from the Rockies to the Red Sox originally, moving from short to second. Trevor Story has been their everyday shortstop for the last couple seasons, and now he is out with modified TJ, which just blows my mind. And
yeah, they said 5 to 6 months.
Yeah, they were. So I think Chaim Bloom, I think the quote from Chaim Bloom was that they weren't expecting him this season.
Wow.
If everything goes swimmingly, apparently he can be back as soon as All-Star break, but they're basically not planning on Trevor Story being their second baseman. But originally they were going to slot him over to shortstop. So now the Red Sox are just in disarray. We don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, the Red Sox are in what I would call baseball purgatory. They're not definitely at the top of that AL East. Maybe they're at the bottom. I mean, maybe they're the Washington Nationals of the AL East. I mean, I'm sorry.
Those are fighting words, Brett.
Well, I mean, the Nationals, I mean, come on. I mean, the NL East is everybody and the Nationals. The AL East is becoming everybody and the Red Sox because
yeah.
The Blue Jays beefed up. The Orioles are going to be better. And, that's still one team I don't want to face in a divisional series in the playoffs because their pitchers have some kind of black magic on our guys. They've got some Jobu figure or something. Mike Elias has got some intel. Maybe he's planted bugs in our clubhouse. But that's the thing. And what is amazing about all this stuff going on, Suzy, and all these moves is the Astros are still like everybody's top lineup and all this stuff. And we're doing it without a real GM.
Without a real GM. Yep. And everyone's like, oh, we're making all these moves without. Look, guys, like I understand that that yes, we don't have we do not have a GM. Is Jim Crane pulling all the strings and is the ultimate puppet master? You bet your damn ass he is. I mean, the fact that he is a self-made gajillionaire, just he got there by doing the hard things, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that he has placed himself and surrounded himself with people that are smarter, maybe not smarter than him, but are more well-versed in other areas. And he's surrounded himself with those people that can help him make the decisions. So now, would I feel better about our season if we had a GM? Sure. Am I going to begrudge the fact that he is going to take his time to try and find someone that maybe works maybe a little bit more harmoniously within the system that he wants? Yes. So, I'm going to err on the side of let Jim Crane cook. All right. That is my official position, is let Jim Crane cook. I think odds are he's going to bide his time, and we may not see a GM this season. So don't be surprised if we go this entire season without a GM, guys.
See, I think, okay, so I'm just thinking about like the Astros messaging department hasn't been the best. Okay. I mean, if we go back to the debacle of the apologies in 2017 spring training, where they kind of forced Bregman and Altuve to be the sacrificial lambs to apologize for whatever was going on at the time. We didn't even know what really we hadn't seen everything unfold. To just, there have been some PR snafus, I think, for the Astros who would benefit them to have somebody by the time pitchers and catchers report or everybody reports to spring training, because you want your GM out front talking. You want someone like, because remember when James Click got here, he was the person talking. It wasn't Jim Crane, because Jim Crane, if he's going to spring training, he's not doing a ton of interviews. He might let Berman interview him, but he's just walking around talking to his guys. So he's not that guy. I don't know if Ferkus is going to be that guy if they go in-house, but I would love them to get Sigmadal from the Orioles. I don't know if they can pull him over. I don't know what that would take.
Right.
But to me, it would be advantageous to have somebody when spring training starts, because Jim Crane is great at a lot of things. One thing he hasn't been great at is messaging and doing the things he needs to do. But you know what, though? That's not necessarily his job. But if you look at the Astros organization top to bottom, they put smart people in the right places. And every player, every coach, every person in the development system that I've interviewed have always said Jim Crane sets us up for success year in and year out. And so I believe that they'll have somebody sooner rather than later, just because they're going to need a mouthpiece and someone talking to the press, because Jim Crane is not going to want to field those questions.
Right. Fingers crossed. But I think he's gonna push Fergus out there to be the mouthpiece for
so
a hot
over
minute.
Under, let's say 6 months. Are you taking the over?
These are betting terms, Brett. Hold on. Is that what I believe will happen, or is
So are you saying that it's going to take them 6 months or longer to find a GM, or 6 months and less?
6 months and longer? Is that the over?
Okay. So I'll take the under. Okay. And whoever wins, I don't know, we'll figure something out. I'll buy you some bourbon or something. Perfect.
Can it be vodka or tequila instead, please and thank you?
Vodka? Are you secretly Russian?
No, but I am secretly I like to actually drink my drinks and not make faces person. That's me.
See, I make faces. If I have vodka, I'm like, oh yeah, I should do still shots of me like taking random drinks and seeing how I react, because I don't drink a ton. So I'm a total noob. I'm like
Funnily enough, this is the only time I drink is for the show. Like on a night to night basis or day to day basis, I typically like don't drink. Like people are like, Suzy, do you just? I'm like, no, I'm not an actual alcoholic. I just play one on TV. So it's literally only this. But my husband likes the bourbon, and he goes, you just have to keep drinking it until you like it. I'm a damned adult. Like I don't need to drink alcohol until I like it. Like that's what you do when you're like 17 and you can't get your hands on alcohol. You just drink whatever you can get. We're not set up like that. So, it's a whole thing. But anyways.
See, here's the thing. Interesting fact. I didn't have my first drink till I was 26 or 27.
That's a very long time, Brett. Wow.
Yep.
What was your first drink?
It was a rum and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Funny story, and I'll even tell this on the show because I'm sure it'd be good material for y'all. When my wife and I got married, I said, you know what? I really feel like having a drink tonight. I feel like having a Roman Coke. She goes, what is a Roman Coke? I said, a Roman Coke. It's a rum and Coke. It's called a Roman Coke. And she goes, nobody calls it that. And I'm like, so I had to call my friend, and he's like, I never said Roman Coke. You heard Roman Coke. So there for a couple of years, I would ask for Roman Coke. And the reason why I kept getting this look like,
that's
I don't know.
hysterical.
So I love a little, little Crown, Crown and Coke, rum and Coke. Just that's kind of my go-to thing. But yeah, I don't even know what some of this stuff's called. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I typically don't drink. When I do drink, it's, like a Bloody Mary or vodka cran, like Tito's. I'm a big Tito's girl.
Okay.
If I'm taking shots, it's got to be clear tequila. None of that aged stuff.
The only shots I've ever done are like the Fireball.
Oh God, no. Oof, no.
Yeah. Like I did that once, and I was like, whoa.
No, that is college and bad decision. That's what that smells like. Fireball. Ugh. And Goldschlager. No, thank you. That's like a visceral reaction there. Anyways, moving on to let's see, what is our next move? Speaking of the Jays, Brandon Belt to the Jays. So Brandon Belt coming over from the San Francisco Giants to the Blue Jays over there in the AL East. I think he's going to be great. He's going to be able to platoon with Danny Jansen. And if you guys are not as familiar with the Blue Jays had 3 catchers. Now they're running 2. Alejandro Kirk, who is their main everyday catcher, and Danny Jansen, who is their quote-unquote backup catcher. The days that the catchers do not actually catch, they're the DH. So Danny Jansen is their DH most of the days. His bat is so important that he is kept in the lineup, as is Alejandro Kirk when he gets off his feet. So I think Brandon Belt going over there to platoon with Danny Jansen going against lefties. He absolutely crushes lefties. Brandon Belt with the righties, I think, will be a welcome addition to that lineup. And the Jays are making some moves and fortifying that lineup, and I'll be interested to see what actually transpires in that AL East this season.
Yeah, and he was a name that a lot of I think Astros fans were even talking about possibly going out and getting when, before we signed Abreu, like he was a name, serviceable name. If you look at his career, he's a 261 hitter, 175 home runs. He is a Texas kid. He's from Nacogdoches, actually. He actually went to, it looks like he went to the University of Texas. I mean, this dude was a 5th round pick in 2009, a career OPS of 814, 584 RBIs, only 47 stolen bases. He's not your, speed guy, but, he is 34. He would have been younger than Abreu, but I think the Astros did a good job in getting Abreu. Yeah. But the Blue Jays, just their roster last year, like how do they get to this point of, it was the only team I was truly concerned about in the AL to not even making the playoffs. And they've got so many players. They did lose Teoscar Hernandez, who's a stud, who actually is asking $16 million in his case with the Mariners now, his new team, and they're only offering 14, so they're actually going to arbitration.
Really? Because, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he'll probably get 15, I think, and then after this year, then he would possibly sign a long-term deal. But I just saw that the other day. But the Blue Jays, last year, they said, this is our year. And I mean, famously,
right.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. said before the season, this is the year we're going to do it. This is going to be like a movie, this is going to be a trailer to a movie or whatever he said.
Right.
And then what happened? They didn't show up. But I mean, when you look at this team, I mean, you look at who they have: Anthony Bass, Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios. I mean, those pitchers alone, Alex Manoah, Nate Pearson, who, man, he's not done what he can do, but they have, I mean, I could go through this whole lineup.
Their 1, 2, 3 is potent. I mean, of Alec Manoah and Kevin Gausman, that 1, 2 is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, Gausman.
Chris Bassett is a great 3. I think he's really going to fortify that starting rotation, and I think he will be better than what he was for the Mets. If Jose Barrios could be the Jose Barrios of old and not the Jose Barrios of last season, that is a very scary lineup. Kikuchi, oh bless it, Kikuchi. I don't even know what's going on with that.
Yeah, Kikuchi's never, like, it's weird. He's a guy that can give you a quality start. He's going to give up some runs. He's going to give up some hits
for sure.
He has swing and miss stuff, but his location is his problem. But when you start looking at their offense too,
yeah. No, they've got some big old bats out there.
Bichette, Chapman, Guerrero. I mean, those 3 right there. I mean, that's enough to, cause you to game plan around those guys. And the shift is being ended, and so, will some of their hitters be, affected positively towards that? And look, I think the AL East is a very strong division.
For sure.
It's very top heavy. I think it's Yankees, I think it's Blue Jays, and I think it's Orioles. I don't know anybody else.
Well,
I mean,
but the Rays are always sneaky. Rays are always sneaky.
See, I agree. Tampa's there, but Tampa did lose G-Man Choi, who's been kind of one of their main guys. I can't remember who they've signed in the offseason or who they've added, but I think the top 3 are going to be the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and
let's see. They got Christian Bethancourt from the A's, who's their catcher. They got Isaac Paredes, who'll play first. Brandon Lau is going to play second. Yandy Diaz third, shortstop Wander Franco, obviously, Manny Margot in right, Jose Siri.
Franco was injured a lot last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, with I think it was the hamate bone or something.
Okay.
I think, but if he's back at full strength, he's going to be
lethal.
That's
true. And I guess honestly, the Rays are one of those teams where they're always relevant, but I don't know a ton about them. I don't follow them that well. I know the Wander Francos. I know their prospects, but it's like, how do they keep finding ways to win, and they do it on a shoestring budget. They do it, they're kind of the Five Below version of Major League Baseball. Well, actually, it's not Five Below anymore. We won't get into that.
No. Well, I mean, but their starting rotation is disgusting as well. I mean, they got McClanahan and Glass now as their 1-2. They signed Eflin in the offseason. They still have Drew Rasmussen and Jeffrey Springs, who are just nasty. And you're like, who? Drew Rasmussen? Jeffrey Springs? And if you don't follow them, you're not going to know how disgusting they actually are. And they've got 3 pitchers in there that they always can. They've been stretched out to being starting pitchers, but odds are they're going to be moved to the bullpen. They got Yanni Chirinos, Luis Patino, Josh Fleming, and Garrett Clevenger, and then they have a ridiculous list of arms that you don't know, who are just kind of no ones, that all have disgustingly different arm slots that are just going to throw ridiculous stuff. And you're like, where did you come from?
And they added Zach Eflin, right? So I mean, yeah. So yeah, you're right. When you look at this lineup top to bottom and you just dive into the names without, I mean, even if you just know minimal stuff about them, they do have a very potent lineup. I mean, hey, Jose Siri's come into his own there. Jose Siri's gotten really comfortable there. And I think Jose Siri is showing a lot of people what he was trying to tell the Astros, hey, this is what I have and this is who I am. And kind of a maybe a little bit lesser version of Miles Straw and what he was able to do in Cleveland. And I don't know if Jose Siri can flip this into a 4 or 5 year contract like Miles Straw did. But nonetheless, he shows that, I mean, he has an elite glove, and that's why they had him. I mean, when they picked him up in the Astros system, he had an elite glove. He was one of the best center fielders they'd ever had, and he had the ability to hit, but it was the inconsistency of the contact, what they were trying to work on. Speaking of that, Suzy, we were talking with Rafael Pena, who has become the Astros minor league hitting coordinator. And we asked him about Pedro Leon. And we said, hey, Pedro Leon, the word on the street is great power, great arm, but he misses a lot. He strikes out a lot.
Have we fixed the hole in his swing?
Well, and what he said was, unlike some players, he goes, some players are natural hitters. So Pedro Leon is not a natural hitter. So every bit of hitting he does, he has to work for.
Right.
He has the talent. He has the athletic ability. But he is not a natural. It doesn't come natural to him. And he said that's hard to think about when you're talking about professional hitters, but they're not all natural hitters. They're not all Mike Trout, Kyle Tucker, Jose Altuve. Some guys, you don't see the work they put in to get to where they are. They're not natural hitters, and they're always so. He said he just continues to work, but he said, I know his work ethic, and I still have high hopes for him. And so, Pedro Leon, I think when he gets it figured out, once he starts connecting, once something fires in his brain, when he gets those mechanics down, I mean, I think we're going to see him at some point this season helping the Astros out, because the dude's got a lot of tools that can be utilized.
Fingers crossed. So, but yeah, so we will keep our eyes on the AL East, obviously, because a number of our greatest opponents come from over there. A couple of other big signings: Nelly Cruz to the Padres for 1 season, for 1 year. Now, Brett, you know that I am a recent convert of the baseballs, right? So I didn't start watching baseball until 2018. So my entire limited view of Nelson Cruz has been as a DH. recently, I just watched the 2011 World Series between the Rangers and the Cardinals. When I tell you that I nearly fell over when I saw Nelson Cruz in right field, I died. I was like, I'm sorry, who's in right field? Nelson Cruz? Why is Nelson Cruz in right field? Because I'm viewing that as the Nelson Cruz DH, not Nelson Cruz of 2011, right?
Right.
And it blew my mind. And then the catch that basically sealed Game 6, but that's neither here nor there. But
that's okay. I love thinking back on the 2011 World Series because it makes my Rangers fan friends cringe, and I don't mind seeing my foes wallow in their pain. My bad. I'm sorry.
One strike away. I died. And considering that I had no, skin in the game or no horse in the race there, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. One strike away from winning the World Series, and then for it to all blow up in their face. I died.
Well, from an Astros perspective, we were one strike away, 2 batters before Pujols got up to clinch our first World Series in the NLCS. And I was at that game 5 NLCS. And I remember when David Eckstein got on base.
What year is that? Right.
2005.
2005.
So
okay.
David Eckstein gets on base, and I forget the next batter that gets up, but it was basically the famous Albert Pujols versus Brad Lidge. The home run that basically broke Brad Lidge as an Astro, but he went,
yes, I did see
to
that.
his credit, he went to Philadelphia, helped him win a World Series. So, but, so that right there, like I remember being there in the moment going, we're going to clinch. I'm going to be at the game clinching first World Series ever. And freaking Albert Pujols. No. That's why I got full redemption this year in Game 6. I took my son, we were at Game 6 of the World Series and got to watch it. And when I explained to my son how rare that is for you to watch your home team clinch in their home ballpark, he was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, I'm like, that's a rare occurrence. So that's probably once in a lifetime opportunity.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, but between skinny Nelson Cruz and skinny Albert Pujols playing first, my mind was just blown the entire World Series. It was a whole thing. I was live tweeting things about the game and about revelations that I had about players, and I was shocked.
Back then I was skinny Brett. I wasn't even HTown Wheelhouse. Now I'm like big Brett and
right. Yeah. No. Well, it like I said, it was one of those things. So we'll see how Nelson Cruz does out there at in the Padres lineup. I honestly believe that Nelson Cruz was signed, not so much as like a babysitter for Fernando Tatis, but maybe as a father figure type of thing. I mean, he's 41, 42 years old, obviously veteran of the game, amazing veteran of the game. Just sitting on the bench talking to Nelson Cruz, like what is that worth, right? So now
Nelson Cruz, I don't know if do you know his history with the biogenesis scandal?
Is that the
he
steroids?
back in 2013 he accepted a 50-game suspension in connection with the biogenesis case when he was with the Rangers.
Interesting.
And so maybe because he's been through that, and I just that whole Tatis thing when they rolled out the ringworm cream argument, I was like, this is an all-time low in the steroid defense. Like, I've heard players throw their wives under the bus. I've heard players say, well, I didn't know what I was putting in my body, which I think is total BS. And then this. Look, hopefully Tatis Jr. can recover from this, because going into this, before this happened, he was becoming the face of baseball.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I loved Eric and I were at the game. He had like a home run, and I love seeing him do his little jot around third base, put the home run chain on. I mean, even though they kicked the Astros' butt, that was a fun game to go to. I was this kid's electric. He's fun. He's
Jinx,
exciting.
You owe me a Coke. I don't drink Coke, but you owe me something.
Okay.
But he's exciting and he's electric to watch. I I mean, moving out to the outfield, I don't think he's going to be as electric, but that is to preserve his body. And at this point, I don't think he has any say of where he plays or how much playing time he gets at this point, because he needs to eat some crow and, humble himself and put his head down and work. And maybe he's one of those that, like, everything has come so easy for him that maybe he forgets how hard it is for some people.
Well, and here's the thing. This whole Fernando Tatis Jr. it's a very layered thing. Like, his contract. His contract
Right.
was so long. But I don't know if a lot of people know this. A lot of that contract, a lot of that money, I don't know if it's half, but it's a pretty big chunk of that money that he signed. He owes to agents that have had him, who basically, when he signed with them, they said, your first contract, you're giving us this much. And he had a pretty big chunk of that contract that he's having to give back and pay back. And so when this suspension came up, that was like, whoa, is this going to void his contract? He still owes money. And, a lot of what these players go through, coming from the Dominican, coming from different countries, if they don't get connected with the right people, I'm not saying he's not connected with the right people, but there are a lot of dangers and pitfalls that we don't think about or we don't really hear about, kind of this underbelly of, Major League Baseball. And so they've done a good job, I think, recently of cleaning a lot of stuff up. Mm-hmm. They play payers what they're worth in the international draft, like the Astros and the other teams are doing, today as we speak. But yeah, Tatis has got a lot of things going on that I think hopefully will make him a better player. And he comes out of this on the good side of it. He comes out of this learning, because so many young players look up to him. I mean, I don't know if you saw the moment where Freddie Freeman's son at the All-Star game wanted to go meet Fernando Tatis Jr. He had Fernando Tatis Jr., and that's what kind of player he is. And that's what baseball needs. Baseball needs to be more marketable to a younger audience.
For sure.
So, yeah.
For sure. I pulled up his contract on Spot Track. Mm-hmm. For those who are not familiar with Fernando Tatis Jr.'s contract, there we go. Words are hard. He signed a 14-year, $340 million contract with the Padres, including a $10 million signing bonus, $340 million guaranteed, golly, and an annual average salary of $24,285,714. FYI, numbers are very hard when you've had alcohol in your system. So just a reference there, that took all of my remaining brain cells that I've had for the day, and Suzy will not be doing any more thinking because I had to think very hard on how to pronounce all of those numbers correctly. So, but anyways, I really hope that, like I said, Nelson Cruz didn't have the greatest season with the Nationals last year, but again, I think that he will be better with the Padres. In the offseason, he had eye surgery. I think that obviously will help a lot. Seeing the ball is integral to hitting the ball, is what I've been told. I don't know any of this because, I'm not an athlete. But typically when you see better, you can hit better. Words. So, he is also he's also a player coach for the Dominican World Baseball Classic. So we shall see how that goes as well. I don't actually know about that. And everyone's like, oh, player coach. And apparently that was a thing back in the days. And I don't know these things because,
Pete Rose was a player coach.
For the Reds?
He was a manager and a player. Yes.
For the Reds?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. It was either Reds or Phillies.
Oh
yeah.
My.
No, I think it was the Reds, because the Reds were the last team. He was with Phillies and he was with the Reds. And he was with the Reds when he got busted for his gambling.
All the gambling, yeah.
But yeah, so basically to kind of put a little bit of a bow on what I talked about with Tatis Jr. was he was paid as a prospect, okay? And so he since he was paid as a prospect, when they get paid as a prospect, a portion of that goes back to the person who signed them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Basically they are owed fees. So like, it's like,
Right.
I will represent you. I'll get you your big contract. When you sign your contract, I pay you. You got to pay this back and pay a portion of your contract. So it may not be as much as I thought, but I do know that his salary, the first several years, or a portion of it, is due back to the person, because as a prospect, they're able to sign. Interesting thing. There's a kid out of, I think it's Ridge Point High School in the Houston
Mm-hmm.
area, 15 years old, throws 96. He's a lefty. He's hired Scott Boras as an advisor.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, he's one of the
Oh,
top
bless it.
left-handers in America. He's on
Wow.
the U15 USA baseball team, and his name escapes me. I think his last name is, I think is McCarron, but I'd have to go look it up. But I just came into knowledge of that. But yeah, Boris is his kid's advisor. And so
Interesting.
with all these
Wow.
new rules, I mean, there's all kinds of new financial things coming on, especially with the NIL, with college and college
Right.
baseball. And I mean, I think the water is going to get really muddied and murky these next few years, because how is someone not an agent, but they're an advisor? How is someone an advisor and not an agent? It
Right.
just, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
what a tangled web these kids can weave. And look, kids, if you're listening, or parents, if you're listening, you have a kid, make sure you surround yourself with the right people, because there's a lot of people out there that all they want to do is, when you get paid, they get paid. And so, I mean, there's a lot of people looking to make a buck. And even with these pros hire people for a reason. They trust them. And so trust is big.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I obviously, have all of the knowledge in the world, because I'm an athlete, and I was definitely, no, I'm just kidding. I was definitely not recruited for any of the things, because I'm 5'2" and Asian. So, but anyways,
I'm a giant. I'm 5'8.5".
Oh yeah, no. There's Shelby and I did a photo shoot for, some upcoming marketing things that we've got cooking. And she's like, it would be so funny if I just stood next to you and put my arm on your head. I'm all, funny for who? That's not funny. It was actually hysterical, because she literally,
awesome.
like, her hand, like her arm is like on my head. I'm all, I hate you. Whatever. It's like, this is not fair. But every time I step on a step stool, I'm all, is this what it feels like to be tall? Yes, that's exactly what it feels like to be like average height. Okay.
You feel like Jeff Passan. Have you seen the famous picture of Jeff Passan standing on his wooden box?
Yes.
And he loves that wooden box. He's not even ashamed of it. He like hugs it and takes pictures. It's really kind of weird. Well,
in high school, when I could do it, I used to wear 4-inch platform styrofoam flip-flops. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now, I would wear those and then twist my ankle and die. We can't afford that. Right. So, but in high school, I was 5'6". Suzy was rocking it with her 4-inch platform styrofoam flip flops, and now I'm gonna turn my ankle and just die. So that's not a thing anymore. We can't do that. Now we go for the sensible, comfortable shoes. So
there you go.
But anyways, moving on from the Padres also to a California team, Miguel Rojas from the Marlins signs with the Dodgers. And then I heard something like he needed some sort of arm surgery as well, which I needed to look into and then didn't, because I saw something shiny and ran out of time. So, but apparently Miguel Rojas from the Marlins moves over to the Dodgers. So I guess they really don't trust Gavin Lux for shortstop.
Well, isn't he now had Gavin Lux moved to second with Trey Turner there?
Yes. No, I thought Gavin Lux was their kind of like utility, kind of like he's going to play wherever. I could be wrong.
Because I was told that Gavin Lux would more than likely move to second, especially with the signing of Rojas.
Yeah, I don't remember. But as of before Miguel Rojas was signed, that was the plan. Was Gavin Lux was going to be the shortstop. So as far as now, as when Miguel Rojas got signed, I don't know what's going on over there. But like I said, I did not dive as deep as I needed to because apparently there's some sort of arm surgery that needs to happen or something with Miguel Rojas. So I was a little confused.
So he had a surgery on October 5th.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, because if you look back, Miguel Rojas is having surgery 2 days from now, but is still taking at bats, and this was on 10/3/22. It was tweeted out by MLB Trade Rumors. So what that says 3 days ago, it says he's progressing after October wrist surgery, and that was just reported here. And like literally, they were talking about it on 570 AM Dodgers Talk with David Veja. They said there's still a couple other things that I need to figure out with the wrist, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be ready for spring training if all goes well. So Miguel Rojas is basically saying he's going to be ready. It basically isolated his power. It says Rojas, this is from Craig Mish. He's a verified guy on Twitter. Rojas, per sources, had a major issue pop up recently after undergoing wrist surgery back in October. He'll need a procedure on it from what I understand, but it didn't hold up the deal with the Dodgers. The trade is complete. So it wasn't an ankle issue like Correa. So apparently it didn't give him any issues, and he'll be ready. So the
Dodgers were good. So so Mickey Rowe goes to the Dodgers. Justin Turner goes over to the Boston Red Sox, and him and Kike can figure out all of the ridiculous handshakes that they can do.
So think about this. Justin Turner leaves the Dodgers and goes to the Red Sox. You would think title contender to title contender. He went from title contender to, maybe they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there in Red Sox Nation. It's a little.
Red Sox fans got to be furious.
Red Sox fans are in shambles. I'm not gonna lie. Red Sox fans are in shambles. They don't know what's going on. And like I said, their owner, John Henry, has not spoken to the press in like 3 years. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what would happen in Houston if Jim Crane did not speak to the press for 3 years? Especially with all of the ridiculous moves that I mean, not ridiculous, the moves that have been made here. If after we didn't re-sign Springer and after we didn't re-sign Cole, if Jim Crane did not come out and address anything, can you just imagine the uproar and the uprising that would happen?
Oh my gosh! I mean, I see the uprising when we sign Jose Abreu, and then we don't really sign a whole lot of other people, and everybody's like, why aren't the Astros spending money? Jim Crane is cheap, and it's just it's like this whole arbitration thing, because I've come into a better understanding of it this year more than I ever have, just because I've never looked into it,
Right.
So many people that I have conversations with, they either really have a lot of knowledge, and if they don't, they try to act like they do. And it's like, I'm just not there. Like, I'm totally willing to admit where I have these shortcomings in knowledge and understanding. It's a little confusing, but it's not as difficult, I think, as some make it out to be. Like, I kind of freaked out when I saw that they had a $500,000 gap between what Christian Javier wanted and what the Astros wanted. But when you look into it, that's a typical thing,
Right.
And so, anyways, I don't know if you want to get into that. I'm not trying to guide your show.
No, you're fine. There's a couple of other free agent signings that I'd like to touch on, and then we'll jump into the ARB players. So a couple of other things. Johnny Cueto to the Marlins. And if you follow the NL at all, you would think, why is Johnny Cueto signing with the Marlins? Their rotation is set. Well, as of now, Kim Ng has basically put their entire starting rotation on the trade block. Basically, she said, "Okay, would you like Pablo Lopez? Sure, let's chat." I think the only untouchable is Sandy Alcantara, who won the NL Cy Young last year. So, and you think if Johnny Cueto signs with the Marlins, he would have said, "How many innings am I actually going to really be able to pitch next year?" Because you've got all of these guys. So be on the lookout for any of those players. Escobar, not Alcantara. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I would.
Depending on what kind of haul they get back. But
they would have to get a haul, but he's a guy that you can build around because he's young enough and he's had enough success early on. The good thing about Cueto is last year he threw for 158 innings, but up until from 2018 to 2021, the most innings he had pitched per innings pitched he had per season was 114. So in 2017 was the last time he really went out there, 25 games, 147 innings. And I don't know, I'm not looking at his injury history. I don't know if he was dealing with injuries, but he was a guy that I was kind of secretly hoping the Astros would go after, just because he's a solid veteran. He's a workhorse. He'll give you the innings, and he's just one of these Latin players that I think could mold and help shape some of our younger Latin players that we have, because we have a large contingency of them.
Right.
And Johnny Cueto would hold so much value, I think, in this staff. I mean, obviously we have a plethora of talent, and unless you're moving someone like an Urquidy or trading or getting rid of one of your starters, you would have 7 starters essentially. And look, at the end of the year, I think the Marlins are going to be one of those teams that is honestly going to be competitive. I don't know that you have 4 teams come out of the NL East, but
no.
But the Marlins do have some talent. They have young players. They've got, Brian De La Cruz, who the Astros sent over there, and
they've got a couple of former Astros. Alex DeGoti, just signed over there. Also CJ Hinojosa, who was also in the Astros system. So they've got a few. It'll be interesting to see where their starting rotation lands. Like I said, you got Escobar, you got Lopez. Where are we going? So it'll be interesting to see.
See, I was thinking Yuli would end up there as well, just because I had heard, I believe his main home where he lives is in Miami.
Okay,
and I've heard kind of mummers about him talking to the Marlins, but I don't know if they're like serious conversations. But that seemed to me, if he doesn't end up in Houston, the most appropriate place for Yuli to land.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see on opening day what the starting rotation looks like over there in the Marlins organization. I guess through various podcasts that I listen to, apparently Miggy Rowe not so well liked in the Marlins clubhouse. That was a little surprising to me. So maybe since Miggy Rowe got dealt to the Dodgers, maybe they do need another veteran presence in that clubhouse that maybe is a little bit less than Miggy Rowe. I don't know. Yeah. So we'll see. But last free agent that we will touch on is Brett Phillips. Brett Phillips is one of my absolute favorite non-Astros players, and he has an organization called Baseball is Fun. And if you've watched any sort of time of Brett Phillips, any sort of clips, you will see how much fun Brett Phillips is having. He was originally with the Tampa Bay Rays. He is a position player. There are some famous clips of Brett Phillips being a position player pitching, and he's got some great clips. So YouTube those if you can find those. He got DFA'd by the Rays and then got picked up by the Orioles for a hot minute, and then got sent down to the Orioles AAA team, which kind of made me really sad because I was like, Brett Phillips, what? Great outfielder. I say great. Serviceable outfielder. I assume amazing teammate. I've yet to come across any sort of negative press on Brett Phillips. What really solidified me on Brett Phillips was when he did get DFA'd by the Rays. Before he left, he made sure to spend time with the little girl named Chloe, who apparently came to one of the Rays games, was battling cancer, and had asked Brett to hit her a home run in the game. And sure enough, Brett Phillips hit her a home run. And so before he left Tampa, before he left the Rays organization, he made sure to go and spend time with Chloe before he left. And that just, we all know that most baseball players are great human beings, but Brett Phillips doing that, taking the time out of his day to do that, just it solidifies to me that he is an amazing human being. And I hope he has an amazing time with the Angels organization over there. And I think he's going to bring great vibes to the Angels organization. And I can't wait to see how he interacts with Shohei. I'm so excited to see that.
No, yeah, he is. He's definitely one of the guys. If there was any major league player that I would say, if I was a major league baseball player, I would be like this person, and not just because we have the same first name, but he is pretty much my spirit animal. I always tell people that if I would have ever played baseball up to a high level, been drafted, I would be the guy that literally every game they'd be like, okay, you got to go to the locker room, you got to take a shower, you got to quit talking to the fans, you got to quit signing autographs. And Brett Phillips comes across as one of those guys, and he's also an avid gamer. I'm friends with a guy who is a gamer who basically plays online, whether it's Fortnite, Modern Warfare, whatever, with several Astros. Brett Phillips, he's actually become good friends with, and Brett Phillips has actually sent him some of his game worn jerseys.
Really? Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So, and if you pay attention to his social media, he's always got some sponsorship with some new PC or new gaming device. But literally, that infectious, almost childlike charm for the game that he has is not as prevalent in the league now.
Yeah.
There's players across the league enjoy the game in different levels, but he does it in a way that when you hear Brett Phillips, you know exactly who he is.
Yes.
He may not be the all-star, he may not be the greatest, but you know about his home run in the 2020 World Series. You know about like you said, his antics on the mound warming up. But more than that, his interaction with the fans. And so Brett Phillips is good for the game. Brett Phillips, I think, will be perfect in Los Angeles because everything I've heard about Mike Trout and friends that I know that have a good friend of mine who talks with Trout on a regular basis, and he's like, Trout's one of the most fun-loving guys you'll ever meet. And him and Ohtani, they're always cutting up. Brett Phillips, I think, will be cutting up with them. So that'll be a great clubhouse for, I think, Brett Phillips to be a part of because he's going to do whatever you ask him to do. I mean, he's just really just one of those. He is the kid growing up that as a coach you want on your team.
Yeah.
Because no
sure.
matter what happens, and it reminds me of this, Suzy, and I'll just share this really quick. Coming out of COVID, there was a lot of limitations on our rosters when we were in Little League, and a lot of kids like signed up, but then they backed out because parents were worried.
Right.
Well,
right.
then they had a pool, so you could put your name in a pool, and if you were available, and all you had to do is check the schedule, and whatever team was playing, you just show up in your baseball uniform, you could play. Well, we were the Pirates, and we were the worst team, no pun intended, in Little League that year. I don't think we won a game in the regular season, but this kid came and played for us one time, and he had such a good time playing for us. He would play. This kid was at the ball field every night playing for different teams, but he made sure that we always had a spot open because we were 2 players short all year. When we got to the playoffs, because everybody makes the playoffs in the league, our first game, he shows up he had some select team that was the Pirates. He showed up in his select team Pirates jersey, and he said, Coach, let's go win this one. We are all Pirates tonight. And I was like,
oh,
what?
That's awesome.
But that's how I imagine Brett Phillips would be when he was a kid growing up, and still to this day. It's just a great testament to his character and just more of what baseball needs.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, Brett Phillips, if ever you come across this, I wish you well in the Angels organization, and I hope that I really need some Brett Phillips filling in for Shohei Ohtani content. That is
There you go.
is my dearest wish for this